extremely honored and privileged and all that stuff. Now, 2 years in a row, and here he rented the Thunderbird. The third year, he rented a club called TJ's, where Ronnie Millsap was working. And they hired us to come play late. I told this story this morning, and it's really the first time I've ever said it, told it publicly, so I'll tell it again. So it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning by the time we got through with the Thunderbird and got over to TJ's, and it was New Year's Eve, and it's 1967, and we're 21 or 22 or 23, whatever. And we were pretty much feeling no pain when we got to TJ's. We were having a good time. Unbeknownst to me, and you have to understand, I went to the fairgrounds amusement park with them, and Elvis used to go to the movies at nighttime, and they invited me to that. And I was sort of the connection. And unbeknownst to me, my guitar player bet my saxophone player that he wouldn't cut in on Elvis and Priscilla when they were dancing. And he did it. And he told Elvis, he said, I got a $5 bet. And so I see it, I don't believe what I'm seeing. And I'm going, well, that's the end of that. And, but to show you what the kind of guy I was, nobody ever said a word. And that was another good night. So, like I said, I treasure those memories because I don't think many local band type guys played for Elvis Presley. And then I also used to, the other thing I was telling Georgia when we talked about, we went to the, it's called the fairgrounds, it was the amusement park. And there's a ride called here they're called the Dodgems, the bumper cars. So I was, nobody told me that sort of the deal was it was Elvis and his guys against everybody else. So we're riding around and I ride around the end and I come and I look and about 20 feet in front of me is Elvis Presley. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the protocol here? Do you hit him or do you not hit him? And he was like, don't hit him. So he was turned around like this, and he was looking at me, and it was just that famous smile with the little snarl and the whole bit, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that I didn't know what to do. And he was just looking and laughing, and about that time, Red West stood up in his car and hit me so hard. And my arm went up, and the steering wheel on those cars are pretty thick, and it hit my arm, and it really hurt. But you wanted to be cool and not let them know that it hurt, but it hurt. It hurt pretty good. But we had a good time, and when we'd go to the movies, Elvis knew who I was because he used to watch George's TV show, and we were on there all the time, and we were kind of accept. I also, you know, I'm sort of the odd one on this panel because you have caregiver, son of the caregiver, you got friends, you got a friend and a fellow performer, and you know, I'm the guy that had a local band here that got to play for Elvis. So, I know, and also it's one of the few places these days I go where I'm guessing that I'm the second youngest, and that doesn't happen too much anymore. So I appreciate being up here with all you guys.
David Flash, the Flash.
Probably a little older than me.
Mr. Scott up there, can you give me some hot tea, please? Yeah, okay. How about for David Flash? What was you going to say there, Jerry? Make it short. We're going to do questions and answers, by the way, at the end of this panel review. We'll take some questions from the audience.
George, one of the things that people need to know about David Flash was he started this early at Snowden Junior High School. You and I were integrally involved in that. David cut records using the same musicians, the same writers that Elvis used, that DJ Thomas used, that Dionne Warwick, same everything. And it just happens sometimes that things don't happen like you want them to. But David was the kind of guy, Elvis loved him to death, I can attest to that. Nobody liked a musician. Again, we talked about a guy like Elvis liking a local band. Flash was that guy.
Exactly. David's been around a long time. Not only was on my show, but like Jerry said, really a wonderful person. Now, Mark, don't run off because I got some questions for you. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy Velvet. Jimmy Velvet, he had When I met him years ago, he had 4 hit records. He had, what was the name of it, Jim?
We Belong Together. It's Almost Tomorrow. And Teenager. But it'll be that one. Yeah. Hello. Back work. This time, last time, my wife called on the phone. This part of it. Where was I? Oh, okay. We Belong Together, and It's Almost Tomorrow. Both charted with Billboard. The others charted with Billboard, but on easy listening charts. But those were fun times for me back then. Still is. I still do a few shows at my age. I'm almost as old as Mary knows.
Jimmy Velvet, if you have a question for Jimmy, hang out. Because I'd like to say this about Jimmy Velvet. Jimmy Velvet was the first person to ever have a souvenir shop across the street from Graceland. And there were little shops there. Jimmy went in and got one of those shops. What'd you call that shop, Jimmy?
Elvis Presley Museum.
Elvis Presley Museum. And Richard Davis worked there, who's Elvis's guy. And then Jimmy came to me and asked me if I'd announce the opening, like when you walk in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Elvis souvenir shop. Mr. Davis will show you around. He's a good guy. And Jimmy, you remember this TCB, ladies and gentlemen. This, my original TCB, by the way, I'll tell you the story. It's a great story. My original TCB is locked in a safety deposit box. So I didn't want to wear it too often because things were happening like crazy around Memphis at that time. But anyway, I took my original and I gave it to Jimmy because I knew he wouldn't make a duplication and sell it. So he made me this for my wife, and I got my wife's TCB necklace on tonight, but mine is in a safety deposit box thanks to Jimmy Velvet. Elvis also, Jimmy, he gave you a green jacket or something?
Yeah, he gave me several things through the years, but the green jacket with the black strings on it from Vegas. And we were in Philadelphia, at the arena, April '57, and I was wearing a green jacket at that show. And when we started to leave, Elvis said, "Where's your overcoat?" I said, "I don't have one." He said, "You'll catch your death." And he took a red plaid one off himself and put it over top of the green one. I had a black tie on, a peach-colored shirt, that bright green jacket, and a red plaid on the top. I looked like a Christmas tree, but I was warmer.
Now, Jimmy's got some great style. We Belong Together. You got that too, didn't you?
It's Almost Tomorrow.
Almost Tomorrow.
Now, I had Blue Velvet in '58, but Tony Bennett had it in '51, 7 years before me. But in 5 years after me, Bobby Benton had a big smash on it. Well, he did really well with it.
Okay.
James, so I didn't,
Jimmy Velvet, nice guy. I didn't know he was going to be here, but I'm glad he showed up. Really one of the nice guys in the Elvis world, Jimmy Velvet. And where's that hot tea at, Mr. Scott? What did he say? Oh, it's on his way. I thought you did that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on. Don't run off, Mark. I got a bunch. We're going to do a question and answer things in a moment. But Mark, all the songs that you wrote for Elvis, and all the songs you've ever written, which are your 2 favorites?
Of course, Suspicious Minds. Hooked on Feeling is real close to me too. It's real personal. You know, and it's number 2 or number 3, maybe. It's always, you ask most writers, you ask that, they're going to say that song that I haven't written yet. You know, that's what they'll say. But you know, there's some songs if you don't know, you haven't heard, that are some favorites of mine too. But the ones that are hits, I would say Hooked on Feeling, Suspicious Minds.
All right, Mark James.
I'll tell you, not blowing my horn, but it's funny how things happen. But you know, I had BJ's record in 1969. In 1964, I had Blue Sweet. Well, recently, in 2014, it's flying by. So, but was it 2014? Yeah, February 2014, they started promoting a $180 million movie, and they used Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Sweet to promote the whole thing. And the director happened to love 70 songs, and if you go, that's a great album, and if you check it out, it's called Awesome Mix Volume 1, and it was as Galaxy. I think Guardian of the Galaxy is the biggest movie of 2014. And the soundtrack is still top 5 over 2 years. It's just a great album. It's got Fooled Around and Fell in Love, I'm Not in Love. It's got a lot of great songs. The director really loved Hooked on a Feeling, and since you mentioned it, I brought that up, that it really brought it back big time, you know.
But ladies and gentlemen, quickly, I'll keep my stories short because I got so many of them. But, oh, by the way, this shirt, somebody wanted to know, this is a Lansky Brothers shirt. And you can tell by the pink and the black, Elvis's name is all over it. But anyway, we were, what? What did he say? A Lansky shirt, okay, Will. We'll get to Barlow in just a minute. But Mark and I were working on a song in American called 11 Years of Natural Thing. And we worked really hard on that song, and we got it together, and then we took it downstairs to Chips, and he was cutting Pet Clark at the time, and he said, well, I'm not going to give it to Pet, I'm going to give it to Ronnie Millsap. He just signed Ronnie. We said, okay, so Ronnie recorded the song, as I mentioned a moment ago, did pretty good with it. Well, Elvis had a way, and I've been around, I watched him a lot, of listening to songs before he went to the studio. And the way he would do it, Felton Jarvis was his producer, and of that nature. So I'm out at Graceland somewhere, and Felton has got a bunch of new songs, and he's playing them for Elvis. And the way Elvis would do it, he'd say, okay, Felton, put that in the B-stack. B-stack meant to be a B-side song. Then he said, he'd play him another song. He said, put that in the C-stack. That means it's going to be an album cut. And then if it was really good, Elvis would say, hey, Felton, put that in the A-stack. So he passed up a song, and Mark Felton told Elvis, he said, Elvis, he said, you know that 11 Years of Natural Thing? He said, yeah, put that in there. That may be an A or B song. And he said, Elvis, you know who wrote that? And Elvis said, no, who wrote that song? He said, Mark James and George Blythe. He said, put it in the A-stack, we're going to cut it. Bless his heart, he passed away, but he was going to cut it, Mark. Been a great song. And also, before we move on, Mark, you're right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark wrote a song. Oh, there's Mr. Lansky back there. I got his shirt on. Mr. Lansky. Oh, Mr. Lansky got something back here. Lansky Brothers Men's Shop at the Peabody Hotel. He's got the clothes that Elvis wore a whole lot. And you know, Mr. Lansky, you popped your whip and we'll make the trip. How you like my shirt, Mr. Lansky? You know what he's got now? I don't know if he brought them tonight. He's got some blue suede shoes, and on the shoes, on the front of the shoe, it says TCP. You got them with you? They fit fine. I got them at home. Okay. Got Bernard Lansky's son, Mr. Hal Lansky, ladies and gentlemen, the sharpest men's shop in Memphis.
We're pretty busy at the store, so I don't know how many people knew my dad, but he was a pretty colorful character. So my dad would say he is as nervous as a prostitute in church with a $10 customer outside. So I got to get back to the store.
That's cute.
That's Hal Lansky of Lansky Brothers Men's Shop. Now, what I was going to say, folks, not too many years ago, we were going to do a motion picture called The King of Rock and Roll. I still got posters of it. I went to New York, helped write the script. And so it's a long story, but I'll make it brief. Recession came in, and we weren't able to make the movie. All the movie was thrown. But I got Mark to write the soundtrack. And Mark wrote a song called Moody Blue. For Elvis, Moody Blue. And it is a great, great song. And so Mark always sings that song at the memorial service. Blue Suede Heaven. Blue Suede Heaven is the name of the song. And where we got the idea for the song, at Elvis's funeral, we're going down Bellevue Boulevard. I think there's 16 white limousines, what it was. And so you can see the people lined up on the highway as we're going to Forest Hill Cemetery first. That's where Elvis was laid in rest then. And I told Mark, I said, Mark, all these people, man, they're sitting on the side, must be 20,000 people on the side of the street, and they all got transistor radios, and they're listening. And I said, let's do a song called Blue Suede Heaven. And Mark wrote that song for the movie, and I played it for Priscilla. She liked it, Everybody, the producers liked it. Of course, we're still holding on to that song, but Mark's going to do that song at the memorial service at the University of Memphis coming up, Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday, and it's a killer song. You'll see what a great songwriter he is, Mark James. Okay, Dino, let's see what Dino's got to say. Dean Nicopolis, his daddy was Dr. Nick, and Dino, Elvis brought him aboard and made a man out of it.
Yes, he did. All these guys are great. They got all the music, they wrote all the music. Well, what we did was we were like personal aides, security, went to, let's see, 75, 76, 77, never missed a show, always on working for him.